Hey folks, Rob with Two Guys in a Ride. Today we're out at the Back to the 50s weekend at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds, and we are with Nick, and Nick is going to tell you a little bit about himself, a little bit about the car that he has here. So Nick, I'll let you have the microphone if you want to tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about this beautiful vehicle that you brought to the fairgrounds today.
Okay, I'm Nick Walduck, and this is a 60 Chev Impala, two-door hardtop. I've had it since 2004. I bought it from a fella I know and knew his wife, and he rebuilt it in 1991. It's a frame-off reconstruction of an original 60 Chevrolet. Basically all original, and it's a drivable car.
Okay, you were saying reconstructed, and what you were telling me is that there were two donor cars that went into this car because there's quite a bit of rust on the rocker panels and the side panels, but the floor pan was pretty bad shape. So tell us about the two cars that went in to make this car.
Okay, what made the car was a four-door hardtop Chevrolet Impala.
Okay, a 1960.
A 1960 also.
Okay.
And a two-door Impala, which is what you see the upper part of it is, and both the two-door and four-door were on exactly the same frame and structure. Okay. The top part was different, and the man who rebuilt it had worked for General Motors as a body person all his life.
Wow.
And knew those things. And so pretty much everything on the car is the way it came off the factory. It's just that it was two cars put together.
So you've got a twice-built Chevrolet by a fellow who actually worked for GM and his whole life, so he could have very well put one of these together on the assembly line in the first place, and then years later he rebuilds it again. That's kind of cool.
Yes.
So tell me this, though. You were telling me the background of this car is that you overheard someone talking about it was for sale, and you went in and took a look at it and bought it. And at that time, it really didn't have any connection for you. Actually, to the point, folks, the early 60s, you're telling me, what did you think about this car?
I really didn't think much of 60 Impalas at all when I was there. And at that point, I was into Mercury's.
Okay.
And Pontiacs.
Ah, okay.
And
both beautiful cars and
both,
styling in those years.
That's right. And but I just wasn't a Chevrolet guy. And when I saw this car, when I drove in the driveway to look at it, it looked better than I remember a 60 Chevrolet looking on a showroom floor.
Okay.
And that impressed me.
Now, you were saying you took your brother-in-law with you to when you picked out the car?
Right, my brother.
Oh, your brother, okay.
Because he rebuilds vans, and he has about 4 or 5 classic cars.
Okay.
Because I didn't have any at the time and didn't know what they were worth or how to tell. And
okay. But his comment to you as you pulled in the driveway
was, "Did you bring your checkbook?"
So he approved of it already.
That's right. Just seeing it from the driveway.
Tell us a little bit about what you've got under the hood and what you've done or haven't done.
Okay.
And you can move around.
It's a original 283, and it was all original when I got it.
Okay.
Just for driving sake, I added disc brakes and power steering.
Okay.
And one of the things that's kind of interesting is when I did the disc brakes and power steering is that I bought a kit to put power steering on it, and I was told that the kit is simply taking the front end off of a GTO or 442, wow, and they bolt right into a 60 Impala.
Wow.
So what that does is it changes from a steering of about a turn and a half to make a turn to about a turn to make a turn.
Okay.
So it makes
better
it
handling,
better,
turn.
very much better handling.
Lock to lock is shorter.
Yep. And disc brakes are obviously better than drums.
When you say you like it, but before you bought it, you knew it had gone to both coasts and all across America because the fella drove it as it was, but you wanted to drive it and make it more roadable, more comfortable.
Yes.
So you did the disc brakes and the power brakes
yes,
and stuff.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yep, the guy who rebuilt it, this was their family vacation vehicle.
Okay, now you were telling me a little bit about the interior on this. Tell me, is this original colors, original fabric?
Yes, this is all original colors, original fabric. It is a it's a new version of it, so it's been redone. It's not the original, but it's exactly like the original was.
Okay, so it's been redone. It's not original fabric, but it's replicated fabric. So the patterns and the colors are all the original. And what I love, Nathan, if you take a look at the detail on the door panels, the door cards, and even for the back door cards. And yes, folks, if you're a little bit younger than we are, those little chrome things with the black, that's how you turn the air conditioning on. And yes, folks, I'm sorry, but those are indeed ashtrays back there. And Nathan, if you will, show the center speaker. That's a center speaker grill. You had stereo in this car. What they kind of maybe hope was stereo. You got one speaker in the back, one speaker in the front. And I got to say, my grandmother had one of these when I was a kid. And being the youngest, I always had to ride in the middle. And I remember banging my head up against that hard metal speaker when I was a kid. So
that explains a few
that
things.
may explain quite a few things. Now, I see, though, you put seatbelts in here because it would not have been original with seatbelts.
No, it would not have been original with seat belts. But when I bought the car, I had a few young grandchildren, and I was pretty sure my daughters wouldn't let me take their children in the car without seat belts. So I added seat belts to it, and that is probably one of the major things that's not time replicated in the car.
But that's just pure safety reasons anyway. So I mean, I think that's an easy add that gives you a lot of security, just to add a little bit of seat belt protection.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So tell me, what is your absolute favorite thing about your car? Other than it's yours.
I think the best thing is the looks you get in the people who come up and talk to you about it. Yep. Shortly after I got it, I went to the drive-in theater in Taylor's Falls, Minnesota.
Okay.
It's Minnesota. And a lady pulled up next to me who was probably 80 years old.
Okay.
And she was at the drive-in also. And after we got our food, she leaned over and she said, "Can I look at your car?" That was the first car I had. Was a 60 Chevrolet two-door hardtop.
It's amazing the memories that a piece of metal and a little bit of styling and color can bring back. All the memories of our first car, our first love, our first date, our first trip to the drive-in. Yeah. It's so cool, and I'm glad you're able to do that. I'm glad you've got this beautiful car. Nick, thank you so much for sharing your car with us. We really do appreciate it. It is absolutely beautiful, folks. We're at Back to the 50s weekend. Come on down, take a look. You can't miss this.